Well, good evening. I'm Brian Reagan, and this is
Tyler Kelly.
We're coming to you tonight with Twilight Talks. And Tyler, if you don't mind, read Jude 5 through 8.
But I want to remind you, though you once knew this, that the Lord, having saved the people out of the land of Egypt, afterward destroyed those who did not believe. And the angels who did not keep their proper domain, but left their own abode, he has reserved in everlasting chains under darkness for the judgment of the great day. As Sodom and Gomorrah and the cities around them in a similar manner to these, having given themselves over to sexual immorality and gone after strange flesh, are set forth as an example, suffering the vengeance of eternal fire. Likewise also these dreamers defile the flesh, reject authority, and speak evil of dignitaries.
All right. So, for those of you who may have been saying, oh no, brother, I've been taught X, Y, Z about verse 6 and verse 7 and all that. First of all, look at the key wording there at the start of verse 8. Likewise also these dreamers, meaning in a similar fashion, likewise, which dreamers? Verse 4, those certain who crept in, ungodly men who have condemnation waiting for them, damnation in hell, that pervert the gospel, that twist the faith that was once for all time delivered to the saints. Those are the filthy dreamers. Those are the filthy dreamers. And why are they dreamers? I mean, we can put some other words in there. Fantasy people, imaginators. You say, is imaginators even a word? It is right now. People that have been actually so self-deceived and deluded and lost their brain that they honestly think they have the ability to change the gospel and it's all good. Those people who do that with the gospel are no different than the people of Sodom and Gomorrah, than the angels who left their first estate, and the children of Israel who rebelled. Now, how do we know that we've understood those verses 5, 6, and 7 correctly? Okay. Likewise, also these dreamers. What's the first group there, Tyler, in verse 8?
Those who defile the flesh.
Defile the flesh. That's talking about what they did in Sodom and Gomorrah. What's the next category?
Reject authority.
That's what the angels did in rejecting God. And the last category?
Speak evil of dignitaries.
Which is what the children of Israel did in the rebellion of Dathan and Korah, and the rebellion of Miriam and Aaron, and you know, God gave them way too many signs that Moses was his guy, and they didn't like it. You know. Now, to those of you, if maybe you're a minister out there, a minister of the gospel, and you're watching this, and you're saying, brother, my church people, they don't really like me. As long as you're preaching the truth of the gospel, if people don't like you, you're in the same category as Moses. You're in the same category as Jesus. It was church people that tried to overthrow and destroy Moses. It was church people that killed Jesus. You know? It was church people who made Paul's life absolute misery that you read about in his letters. You say, I thought it was the Jews who persecuted him. Yeah, the Jews who went behind him, that tried to destroy everything he taught, that stirred up the people whose salvation came through Paul's preaching, that then those people were like, we hate you, Paul.
And, oh wait, Peter.
And Peter.
What's Peter supposed to be? Oh yeah. The one on whose faith God builds the church on his own foundation of it.
Yeah. Yeah. So, those three categories that we've looked at. And what are the three categories that usually infect the church? Those three categories. People who want an excuse to have sex with people that God hasn't allowed them to. That's what that really comes down to. People that don't want to hear and obey the word of God. That's those that reject authority. And then the people that speak evil and gossip and sow seeds of discord about God's ministers. That's that third category. So all of the problems in the church really fall into those three categories. And apparently it's been an issue since almost the beginning of the church. And it's been an issue since the beginning of time because it starts with the angels rebelling against God. But that's how we know that we understood 5, 6, and 7 correctly, because of the 3 categories it identifies. You have some other thoughts on this one, brother?
No, sir.
All right. When we come back Monday, we're going to get into verses 9 through 11. And we're going to see how this plays out a little bit more. Jude is a tremendous little book. Even though it's short, it is nothing but high-hitting power from the word go. And lest anybody think that I'm just talking about ministers, hey, elders out there, maybe you're an elder now, maybe you were an elder. And the children of God, we don't want to follow what he says. Some people say, well, that's because, they weren't a leader, therefore they weren't really a shepherd because the sheep didn't want to follow him. No. Moses was a shepherd. The sheep didn't want to follow him. If you're an elder out there and you've gone through some of the same stuff, just know you're in good company. It's not just preachers. Sometimes it's elders too. Sometimes it's elders who do the persecuting. Or sometimes it's preachers who do the persecuting of elders. But most often, so hang in there, brothers. Hang in. Stand on the word of God no matter what. And make sure that elders and ministers and deacons, that y'all don't cut each other's throats. Because when you do, you'll kill the church. I'm Brian Reagan, this is
Tyler Kelly.
And we bid you good night and have a blessed weekend. And Lord willing, we'll see you 9:30 for Bible class and 10:30 for worship, either in person or live stream.